Hi, welcome back to Future Fast. And once again, we have Krish Shankar with us. And for those of you, in fact, many of you actually tend to come only for the Future Friday episode because a lot of you tend to miss the journey part or the business component because most of you are interested only in the future. I sincerely urge you, please do look up the first part of the journey because there is a lot of conversation on the organization from his experience through the multinational and the Indian multinationals that he's worked, and also with the founders. Very interesting conversation, so you won't want to miss it. And the second part of the conversation dives down into the HR functions and leadership and relevance. So it's very interesting, and there is also a lot of elements of impact of technology and future. So you wouldn't want to miss that part, and you will be able to even connect to this conversation as where Shankar's coming from. Because if you get that journey, you will be able to relate better. So I really urge you, please look up those two conversations. And a majority of you, nearly 70-80% of you don't subscribe, but you keep watching this content. So I urge you, please do subscribe. It becomes a bigger motivation. And for those of you who are sharing your feedback, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And Shankar, thank you once again for being part of Future Fast. Welcome to Future Fast.
Thank you, Nanju. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So, Shankar, we talked about your journey and we talked about your your perspective on the way HR organizations, and in fact, we even discussed about what roles within the HR function you think will get uh, impacted by technology, specifically AI and such. So, want to start with what is your perspective on future? And obviously, the future I'm referring to is 5 to 10 years from now, not in the immediate near future.
Yeah. Well, I think if you were to look at the future, I mean, I'm just looking at what are some of the trends that are there that we should really be looking at. I think one clear disruptor is the whole technology part. Yeah, how technology is gaining a lot of traction. Now we have lots of work on AI, and I think over the next 3 to 5 years, AI will have a much bigger impact on corporations because these are all early stages. So AI will look to kind of look at thinking and redrawing some of the things of organizations and jobs in some ways. There are also many other technologies. AI is one, but there are many other technologies, virtual reality, blockchain, all of them in some way or the other can be used within HR to really, within organizations in a way to make changes. So technology, I think, is going to have one big impact in the future. Yeah? And we'll talk a little bit about how it will be there. The second thing that's going to have an impact is clearly I also see people's own expectations also changing as we grow, as we look at their own expectations of career, that also changes, and that will also have an impact in the future in terms of what people want and how they will come together to work in the organizations. Yeah. Well, I mean, these two are there. I think there are other things about, I won't bother so much about big geopolitical changes or big business disruption because they're all part of life that we've really lived with and we have seen. So if I just look at these two trends, Nanju, I think if I look at technology, in a way, let's see how it will impact work. Yeah, sorry.
Shankar, I just want to add one more aspect. I mean, you can come to it later. One more aspect is the aging, right? I mean, our age span is expanding. And I don't know if I had mentioned to you earlier that we've, in Future First, have had quite a few scientists who are working on longevity have been there as guests. And so some of the audience, if you have missed it, I urge you. In fact, they have been the most popular conversation. And they are big names in the aging research space. And we've also had a couple of transhumanists. One of them is super popular. He was also a candidate in the American presidential election, Zoltan Istvan. So, and in fact, their argument is that we will live for 1,000 years, right? So, I mean, most people, and even the scientists, say that our healthy aging as they see today will be about 120 years. That is to say that we are going to be very active and healthy till about 120 years. So I would like you to uh, extend your future cap
Yeah,
perspective to that also. That how do you see this panning out?
correct,
Yeah,
correct.
please.
No,
Sorry for
I think,
interrupting on the technology. Yeah,
yeah, I know. As I said, this is something that I thought is all about people's expectations. So I agree. Longevity and anti-aging is like a Silicon Valley fad, and people are doing a lot of research on it. And I think we'll have to see how much really is working there. But clearly, over time, I think the health span or the lifespan of individuals is increasing. Yeah, and as you said, with all the research and all the things, that will increase even more. I'm not sure it's going to be beyond 100 years in the next 10 years, maybe beyond that. But I would say in the 10 years, yeah, I'd probably increase by another 5 years or so in terms of the
no,
health
but
span.
people
But
in our generations will see that, right? I mean, at least. So, and also, we had Mr. R. Gopal Krishnan in the podcast, and I asked him about the same thing. And he actually, even before I asked, he referred to the conversation where there are people who are already well past 16 years, 70s, are talking about getting a job as a director or on the board or want to be consulting. So he was saying that a lot of people who are well past the prime, as we look at it today, it may not be the prime because I think there are already some conversations about 60 is the new 40 and things like that. So he also said that he currently sees that there are a lot of people who are looking to be very active in the corporate world. Uh, so where do you see that part? Because it's not
I
future; it's
agree. I
almost the
agree. I think,
present.
see, I agree. I think in the past, people would say, listen, we kind of, give up working full time or whatever it is at the age of 60 and kind of, decelerate. But now I think people are looking at it at least for another 15, 20 years. They're saying, listen, I want to be active. I want to be working full time. I want to be doing lots more things. And maybe only after 75, 80 will I kind of, slow down. So there are many options there. And I think with all the health and other things, there'll be a large percentage of population which will probably live much longer, and they also have a longer health span or career span in front of them to really think about, and that will also impact the way organizations are.
Have you also had this debate internally while you were in your last organization at Infosys about extending the retirement age at any point in time? Because
Not, see,
in the
not
West,
really.
it's
I mean,
already so,
it's
right?
I think globally there are no certain ways countries don't have a retirement. I don't think
Correct.
that was that big an issue as of now. I think maybe
Oh, it
over
was not?
time
Okay.
it will become, but as of now we didn't really think
But
of.
in Europe, US, it's already different, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's clearly in.
different population. Yeah, different thing. In India, I think we've got much more younger population. Much more of them are growing, and I don't think there's companies, if they need people, they still keep them beyond retirement as consultants, as this and that. So I don't think there's any kind of issue in terms of where they need specific expertise, etc.
You don't
But
think
going
the
back,
retirement will get extended
sorry.
here in India? You don't see that retirement age will be extended in India?
It's a possibility. It's a possibility. I think most companies do that, and most countries do that because number one, they want people to work longer so that they are, contributing more to the social service, to the thing, so that the government is able to. Otherwise, the government in the European countries have lots of retired people and very few working people, so they want more people to work longer in the Western economies. India is a bit different. I think we got lots more younger people, etc., etc. I don't think the government at any stage is going to increase, but individual companies may take a call because of what the thing. They may take a call, and I think those are things that can be considered in the future. Um, so yes, it's not really a big debate amongst people in a way. Are they really? Is that
Not
top
even
of
in
the mind
your
debate?
NHRD circles? Is that not a
Not really.
question
It's
or
not really a
conversation?
big debate. I think there are other things. See, India is such a diverse country. India has got so much talent, and I think there is a need for many people to stay, help, work. I don't think it's a retirement age is an issue that people are talking about now. I think, but listen, where people are working, they continue as what we call as gig workers, and I think one of the trends you'll see is that people don't stay till in a company till a retirement age. They may
Right.
be working in a much more multi-career kind of a thing. So retirement is a question mark. Are people going to look for 60 or 65? We don't know. Maybe they stay till 40, 45 and say, I want to do something else. And, this employment and retirement as words may not be very important.
Right. I think that's a fair argument that people need not retire just because you come out of an organization.
Yeah. And I think they work a lot more. I would say people will be active much longer in very different ways. And I think, they not necessarily they'll stay in one organization, say, I want to look at retirement age, but there'll be different ways really of more active.
So do you think people like you who put in nearly 40 years in the corporate world and had very influential positions, impactful as well, because your last role, your organization, you had over 3 lakh people, right? I think these are some kind of very few people can tick off as run that sized organizations, right? But do you feel that having come out of such organizations, you as an individual with such experience and wisdom of all those learnings, you are more your contribution can be far more effective outside of one organization today versus being confined to one organization?
I think it's a personal choice also. There would be some who would like to be in one organization and continue because, that is, and it's being in one organization, you kind of wield certain authority, certain thing, etc. There are others who would say, listen, I want to really have my expertise in a different role. I want to be more in a mentoring role with 2-3 different organizations kind of a thing. So people could make personal choices. Yeah, I mean, someone like me, I think I can contribute not only in organizations, but in other areas like non-profits, etc., where I want to also spend some time. So I think it's just that and in academics and teaching in younger people. So I in my own mind, I kind of think that I can contribute in these 3 areas, work more with non-profits.
So which is much broader and significantly larger.
Yeah, and work with, industry, working with some organizations. So I would look at all these 3 because that makes it much more broader, and you can choose the areas where you really want to make an impact and continue to do so.
So I don't know. Maybe because of so many conversations with those people, I think this keeps coming back. So can we go back to the technology side?
Yeah.
And broadly, you said two things that will impact the future, and obviously from an organization perspective. So maybe a precursor to that response in this purview, how do you see the HR organization within a corporation? I mean, you mentioned technology is going to have an impact, and sorry, what was the second thing you?
I said people's own expectations, people's
own expectations.
Yeah, demographics, so, people and their expectations.
Yeah, in these two, whether independently or within this, how do you see the very design of an HR organization will be in future?
Yeah. No, I see, if you look at how organizations are going to impact, what are the technologies? I think AI, especially Gen AI, will be much more pervasive across organizations. You're going to have things like blockchain, which will help in various transactions. Virtual reality, in the future, you may not need a phone. You'll probably be using a lot more virtual reality in many things that are there. And therefore, that's the other way you can use to train, work, communicate. So that's going to be another big technology there. So these will all be permeating within organizations, I think, in a big way over the next, let's say, next decade. Now, while we do that, I think 2 parts. I mean, you're asking about HR. So let's look at simply organizations. I would say organizations will tend to have tend to become much more, I would say, flatter. It would not have. I mean, if I were to now look at a current organization, normally the number of levels is between 7 to 9. That's the kind of levels between the lowest operator to a CEO in any organization. I think in the future that may come down to at least about 5 or so. So it'll become much flatter in terms of organization. You're going to take people with lots more experience. So while people who coming out of colleges probably will need some more time to build some domain before they get in. So therefore, I think that they'll need to be organization look for people who are got much more sharper skills, much more thing that they can do. They may have longer apprenticeship period or something so that people can do, and that's something that will be that education has to think. It's not just an engineering degree or an MBA, but what else are you doing so that people have got lots
So
more
there is
experience.
this academic level, there is this corporate. Right now, corporate is coming in from the academic side. So you're saying there is a mid layer going to come in. Either the academics have to take up, or probably this other smaller businesses will have to fill in,
We'll
or
have to
even
fit.
probably NGOs
Yeah.
to address
Some
this
others will have to
aspect.
fill in to really say, how do I
To
make people more job ready? And maybe academics also will do it. Maybe there's a space, I think, for a lot of people to say, listen, how are we
could be a
creating
business opportunity.
business opportunity? I think that's where all the future learning things, because organization is say, I want people who are much more job ready with lots more domain experience, etc. And how do you get people there? While they may have their own apprenticeship programs, they may not be, as of the scale as of now. So I think in future, that's an area that will probably be there. I think what's going to happen is you'll start getting people who have to really add value a lot more. So the role of aggregators, people managers may all come down a little bit. While you still
Sorry,
need them, but just aggregators will go away.
correct.
Yeah.
Just to one step back to the previous, what you were saying. You're saying that current 7 to 9 levels will shrink to about 5. So where will this 4 to 5 levels come from? One is obviously you said the bottom level is bound to be the one significantly impacted because they need to be mature enough to be contributing. So that is a business opportunity you talked about. And what are the other levels you see disappearing? Anything on the higher segment, or where do you see these levels
Well, it's
disappearing
very
out of?
difficult to say, but see, if you just look at it, if Gen AI or AI is going to give you all the analysis and all the work you need to make your decisions, so that takes out most of the people who are doing the basic analysis, analyst kind of work
Which typically sits right at the below the leadership team, right?
below the leadership. Yeah, so that kind of a level will be impacted. I would say at least it'll become half, because you don't need so
So
many people
it
as
eliminates the
long as you
human
got good.
bias and gives better analysis.
Yeah, so the analysis is there. The Gen AI does all of these that people take wherever they need decisions, so that kind of a thing will be there. I think roles that are really trying to coordinate roles between different functions and all will also go away, because this whole program manager kind of a thing is a question in terms of Gen AI is there and AI can help you manage that and set up thing. I mean, you don't need those people who are coordinating, managing programs. So
Very
that's
interesting. Just to put it in perspective, how many people can be there for this? I'm just in an organization like Infosys, how many people would be in these kind of functions, coordinating functions?
I think it's
What
tough to say.
percentage?
I don't think I
A
can.
percentage wise, not a definitive number, but
Again,
approximately.
I would say it will vary from industry to industry in terms of the
Right.
people. I don't want to go to any particular company, but if you really look at it,
In
I
a
mean,
tech
if you
industry,
really
if you
look
say.
at take professional services company, take professional services company. I mean,
Mm.
there was a research I read recently that and I think it takes at least 20 to 25% of the work is being
Wow.
taken away by Gen A. Yeah, as of now, and hopefully over time, 30% of that work, 30-40%.
Mm.
IT, especially IT, not the Gen AI itself, but things that help in coding will also take away something. I would say there are
Correct.
estimates anything between 20 to 30% of our jobs may go away due to all these co-pilots and the others that are there. Yeah, so therefore that
Correct.
does
Already
basic.
this low code is going to be a huge
So that's the
displacement.
thing. Yeah, if you look at finance and others where basic analysis, decision making is there, again there is a group that, well, there's a lot of automation already in finance, but yes, all the analysis etc. can be done by another group of through better AI etc. And therefore that probably will also lead to about 15-20%. So anywhere between 20 to 40% of the roles across companies in different kind of thing can be impacted through technology in the future. Yeah. And that's how I see. And I think this is where these are the things that one has to. And see, none of these is going to happen now. It's going to take some time. I think people will do. I think there is, while we've
So
got
not in the
this,
next 5 years, but in the 5 to 10 years, it is
maybe
a
after three
possibility.
years. I would say, but in
Okay.
3 to 10 years is where we're going to see most change, because people are going to experiment, they're going to do this. But in 3 to 5 years, you'll see much more traction building and all of this. So I'd say, yeah. So those are quite some of the changes that one will be expecting. So given all those changes, now what about HR? And just look at what's going to happen. HR means maybe you're going to have less people to manage. Maybe there's lots of technology that is there which manages most of the HR process. I think shortlisting, recruitment, first level of interviewing, all can be done through technology. And then you take a decision and do your final thing. So recruitment is one area where HR technology can play a big role. Most of our HR operations can be again thing, and you just need a team to really manage and do governance and build new tech. But otherwise that's something that can be done. I think the role of what we call as a business partners. I mean, if I look at technology, each manager can have a HR co-pilot, in a way, HR assistant, which is an AI which helps the manager to take the decisions, etc., etc. So therefore, the HR business partner can
Will
be present,
disappear. Okay, displaced.
as a thing, to each person. However, you still need HR at a more strategic level. So I think HR becomes much more people who do strategic projects for the organization, in terms of what talent do we need in the future, how do we build it, where do we go and hire, and what should we. So they'll have to think. So therefore, you're going to have lots more strategic thinking, a lot more strategic work in HR done by lesser number of people.
Right. Shankar, just one step back here. See, obviously today having run HR organizations in large corporations in different industries and all that, your primary role has been strategic function, right? And do you think if you were to not have the business HR function early in your career, you could have been as effective in your strategic function higher up the ladder?
So you're right. I think all the HR functions helps you become higher up the ladder, being in the business
Right.
HR,
So
being some
how
operation.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, if you look at the business HR as it is now, in many companies at the lower level, I think business HR is of two levels. At the lower level, they are more supporting the line managers, helping them
Okay.
manage
Those are
HR.
the ones which will be out of
Yeah,
the way.
they are supporting them, helping them run various processes, and in a way coaching them. I think that number will come down, but the teams that will be there will be doing more coaching role. They'll be doing more coaching. They'll be doing more building the leadership in that level, building more the line manager or the middle manager's capability. So they'll do all of that, but they will not be helping them run the programs, take the decisions, because you probably have lots more technology there. Yeah. See, HR also, in a way, when you're dealing with people, there will always be people issues. So you can't just leave it to technology. You need HR. All I'm saying is there'll be less number of HR business partners, but the ones who will be there will be doing a very different role. They'll be doing a very different role of thinking through about what are the areas where they can build capability, help coach people, so they'll be doing much more of an enabling role rather than more of an enforcing, monitoring, and getting things done kind of a role.
Sorry, one more deviation. Ideally, in fact, I thought about it that I should have asked you in our second conversation and missed out, but maybe in this context, it's kind of relevant. See, there are organizations who have HR leadership functions not coming from the HR per se,
Thanks.
from the business, right? So while they have the functions up to the head come from traditional HR, but heads have been, I mean, Mindtree is a classic organization, right? As I've seen in the last 20 years, they've consistently had people come from, not consistently. Lately, I think the model has changed once they're part of L&T. It's gone back to the HR leadership there. While prior to that, they've always had business heads functioning as head of function, and they were also rotating that function into business role. I think something in the lines of what you had in the Unilever, Hindustan Unilever also. So, how do you see that kind of a function versus the traditional HR function going up the rank to that CXO position of HR?
Well, see, again, if you look at it, I think the role of HR in the future will be a lot more. But I'm just saying that, listen, with lots more technology and lot more data and analytics that which are available, I think the HR team will have to really think about, okay, how are we building the culture of this company, given this coexistence of tech and individuals? How are we building careers of people or retaining them or getting the best out of them? What are the key jobs and who are the right talent? So I think these kind of decisions are needed. And to do that, anybody can do. I'm not saying HR or non-HR. You need people.
So business understanding is a fundamental.
Business understanding, but even a business person who's got understanding of these things in terms of how to really run this can do. Yeah, I think so. I don't think that's going to change. It's a competencies that is needed in the person, because here you need somebody who can think strategically about business, who understands the thing, who understands how to build culture, understands talent, identifying, developing talent. So those are the kind of things that is there, and I think people have to build it over their experience. So they have to gain that, and then they could become CHROs. Yeah.
So so there remains a challenge for somebody who's got into HR function now, or they are HR managers somewhere now, and hoping in the next 10 years they will be getting into this leadership function. So they will have to have all this understanding. You're saying they need to be good in their tech understanding. They need to have better understanding of very business process, independent of HR process. They have to have business process understanding and the rest of the things that you put in together.
Correct. Yeah. So they have to really I think HR can bring their insight, the best HR people in the future, as we have lots more technology which manages the operations. HR people have to bring their insight on people and talent, saying who's doing what kind of roles they're good at, what are their strengths. So that understanding, they have to really bring it to the table. And for a particular job, what kind of talent? So thinking about talent and their capabilities, in key jobs, they've got to bring lots of insights on people. Second is they got to bring lots of insights on the business, saying what are those business challenges? What are the things? What are the things that we should be doing in the future? What kind of talent will be successful in the future? What kind of talent is needed in this particular role? So you need to understand the business challenges also a lot more. So the good mix of the insights on people and the insights on business coming together will probably be the right HR person. I mean, nothing different from now, but with lots more technology, this becomes more important. The ability.
See, you said you're also teaching now, right? Do you see these kind of things already employed in the teaching for the business schools who teach HR?
I just teach one small course. I'm not really, but I think
this is what you teach. This is what you talk about.
Yeah, I think applying these strategic concepts is going to be important. I teach one course where I try and do that, but I think these are teaching is one part, but they also have to learn these through work also. So I think both academics have to help step up, but also how do you really help them build these as somebody who just passes out of school, getting into an organization, how do they sharpen it? Because I think they'll have to start using it right from the beginning. They don't, not in the early stages where you're just doing lots more analysis and ops and all that. Maybe now you'll have to start getting into more strategic thing much more earlier. So they've got to also be ready for that. And
business schools are already approaching it that way, or do you think they will have to do it?
I think they will have to do. I don't have a full idea of where they are yet. But I assume they'll also be in line with the times, and they will have to really start building these things.
Right. And coming back, sorry for that. So coming back, so you were talking about the HR organization with the impact of technology, and how do you see the people's expectation side? How will that get addressed?
Yeah, I think we started with the thing in the beginning. Firstly, I think demographics. That in a way, in India we'll have lots more younger people in the workforce, and people living much longer. And this is a bigger thing in the US, where there are lots more older people who are living much longer, working much longer. Yeah, so that is there. On the other hand, I think the lifespan of organization is not going to be that high. Organizations are going to be, average lifespan of organization has come down. Average work span of people has gone up. So therefore, you see that if you look at the average.
Can you give an example? This is
No,
an
I'm just
interesting
saying,
observation,
in
Shankar.
the past, I was just reading somewhere that the average age of companies listed in the New York Stock Exchange has come down over the last 15 years. Yeah, from an average age of 40 to it's now about 22 or something. So that's how it is, which shows that either older companies are kind of divesting, splitting, becoming different, morphing into something like the olden days. Company used to be there for 100 years, 150 years. That kind of a thing is not going to be there so much, because of so many
Mm.
disruptions. I think companies' lifespan is going to be shorter unless companies I mean, it's not that everyone, unless companies reinvent, do something, and they
Mm.
become longer, or they kind of morph into smaller bits and kind of keep that focus alive. So I see the trend is the lifespan of organization is coming lower. Lifespan or career span of people is going higher. Yeah, so that's one of the things that you would see. And how do you really match these? Yeah, but therefore people will say, listen, I also don't want to be joining a company and saying I want to be working here long, forever. They'll also say they'll join. Even now, young people, they don't join a company to retire. They say, I want to join. I'll see next 2, 3 years what's happening. Then I'll move somewhere else. Yeah. So I think they want to explore. They want to find what is the best for them. And if they're getting growth, they're learning, they'll stay. It's not that they will definitely leave, but I'm just saying they calibrate every 2, 3 years in terms of how things are coming for them, and they will make that call.
But it's not like they want to come in and say, I want to be running this organization. That is also not there anymore.
Very few people. I think, they don't start off saying, I want to be CEO here. They'll try and work out and, they see there. The other thing also, Nanju, is that given this, the half-life of skills is also coming down. Yeah. You start, I
Correct.
mean, whichever it
Correct.
is. If I started with certain things in the past, I mean, because the skills needed didn't change, I could continue with little bit learning to become continue in the same company. Now it may not be there because certain jobs you got to keep learning, relearning, and being there. If not, you got to you somewhere kind of become not relevant in that particular thing. So therefore, learning and ability to learn is very important. So the half life of skills also is going to be shorter. Secondly, I think people also now, given the options that are there, it's not that they also say, listen, I want to do different things. So their own thing is, I've worked for 20 years. This is good. I want to do something else. I want to do some startup. I want to work on this. So they have different ideas also. So I think we have now a market. Again, this is across different things, but I'm saying in India we'll have lots more young people, lots more people very ambitious, lots more diversity of our workforce. I mean, the workforce, it's from city to rural areas. It's the kind of backgrounds that they come from. It's very diverse. So we have a huge diversity of our workforce. All of them are kind of ambitious, but also saying, listen, I'm happy to do different things. It's not that this is the one company I want to work all through my life. I think they all, whatever it is, they find something else and they want to do something else. So we're going to have that kind of a group of people. And learning is going to be very important, because of the half-life of skills coming down, they have to keep learning. And therefore, there'll be some who may learn and continue, some who may have to pivot and do something else completely. They move on, learn, pivot, and do something else. That's the kind of thing. So I would think that, that every 15 to 20 years in our own career, we have to do some kind of a pivot, learn something, do something, some change. So if the past career used to be longer, 30, 40 years, now probably it'll be 20 years, then you got to change and work another 15, 20 years and, change and do something else. Lots more people, given that there is need for so much expertise and this and that, I think lots more people will, with their knowledge, can also be what we call as gig workers, or people who can be expert gig workers, or their own consultants in a way. Maybe there'll be many people who set up smaller firms which are much more focused in supporting consulting, etc. most companies may say, listen, they may outsource a lot more work to of such nature to these firms. So I think that's how it is. So it's going to be a much more fluid uh, market for people in terms of talent market. And yeah, so all that will have an impact on the organization. So organization may have probably be less heavy, but in terms of thing, but they need to be agile and they need to take decisions much faster in some ways.
Well, Shankar, there is one more thing, maybe a little bit of a deviation from this conversation. See, we recently had this Mangalyaan and Chandrayaan and all that, and one argument was glaring in the media, right, about the scientists and where they studied from, right? They were all identified with tier 3 colleges.
Tier 3 colleges, yeah.
Right, and then there were blogs, articles. I don't know. I don't remember if you also wrote one on that about typically the tier 1 colleges are all mopped up by the multinationals, and typically the IITs. I was joking with somebody that IIT produces great bankers but less engineers. Why so? So that is one side, right? I mean, IITs going off to either study abroad, and most of them even to business and not engineering, and some to MS perhaps, but going out. And then the tier 2 colleges, the big Indian city colleges, are taken over by large Indian corporations, and all the scientists for ISRO and DRDO coming out of tier 3 colleges. How do you see this trend changing? Is there a revisit? Will people think differently in the way they identify talent? How do you see that talent? How did the Indian corporation miss this talent? And when thankfully that ISRO could find the tier 3 college students being very useful, that's how India could still find a position in ISRO and all this aspect. So how do you see this whole talent churn from tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 happening in future?
See, I think India somewhere, I think we given the whole scale of the nation and this, somewhere we've got a very, very rigorous, what do you call it, tier system, which kind of status symbol of universities, this, that, etc., which is somehow being built here. I think while it is there, the premium, the best people go to the IITs, etc., will be there. I think over time, people will say, listen, I'm looking for the best people, irrespective of which institute you come from. And therefore, it's not about the degree and which institute you passed out from, but is whether do you have the right skills. Yeah. And therefore, companies, I think there is this whole focus on going to this, what we call the skills economy, rather than the which Ivy League or which colleges or what have you been to. So you're going to probably have that, and you're going to have.
You think that will change these tier things?
It may not change because in the end, IITs still take the best people, and once you come up through that, and some may not make it, but they still may be good, and they end up in other colleges, and you have to really give them the opportunity to come. So for any corporation, it'll be easier to go to IIT or IIM and hire, because that the chances of getting your best people is there. But there are also maybe equally good people in the rest of the environment who will have to come up, and you have to find ways to hire them.
It's kind of evident, right? I mean, the head of ISRO comes from tier 3 colleges last 2-3 terms, which is very consistently and established that there is real talent available there. But ironically, the tier 1-2 guys make it to policy making, but not these people. But they actually run the rocket science organization.
No. See, there are two parts to it. See, while they are from tier 3, they've got academic brilliance, and they've joined. So they've got certain things which are there, which is a strong academic brilliance that is there. Yeah. Whereas the others may have some other qualities, Now, and
not
the
to belittle
thing
them,
that ISRO
definitely they have good quality. That's why they've made it there.
Yeah, the second thing in ISRO does is it gives them deep expertise in that area. So over years they built. So unlike any organization, if you move 10 people around, etc., they may not be. So what has ISRO done is they've taken people from tier 3 colleges who are academically brilliant. but they've been put in an ecosystem where they learned a lot more because they are in that one particular area doing a lot of work and research. So therefore, they're becoming true experts in world class, that kind of a thing. That's how they've really grown up. So I think, IQ wise, yes. I mean, the IT, IIT, and others, they've got better options, and they don't join a government organization. But because of the other thing, they've gone out. But thankfully, we've had government organizations who've been able to hire good academically brilliant people, give them the right training, the right depth, right exposure, so that they've been good there. So all I'm saying is, in the future, organization also need to look around. While it's easy to go and hire from an IIT, but you'll probably find lots more. Therefore, you may over time not look at the institutes, but you may say, okay, do I have the right skills? And in
So
the
is
past,
there
it was tough for organizations to do. In the past in India, it's very tough because so many people. How do you hire? What it is, etc. I think if there are better ways that technology can come up through AI and this and that, then it will make it easier for companies to say, listen, yeah, now I'm sure that I have this person from a tier 3 college who I think is as good as somebody who's come from an IIT, that kind of a thing, which they'll be able to do. So over time, that probably will come. So I think over time, people and organization will focus more on demonstrated skills and whether this person can do this, is able to demonstrate this, rather than what degree they have or where they passed out from. So that's going to be a change, I think, in the future.
so the demography will be a key aspect in terms of even being able to identify one, can they be more research oriented? And for that, they also need to be able to commit to the same organization for a longer time, right? So
They'll
this
have to
is
be there longer time, do the same amount of work. If you look at professors
so
who they're
uh,
Nobel Prize winners, they're doing the same thing over time. They build, and then they become experts. I think that there is a depth which is needed, and once they've got that depth, then they kind of link various things. In business, you don't need so much depth. You need other skills. You need skills of innovation. Quickly making things happen. So that's how certain other people succeed in different businesses.
so tier 3 makes better sense for
Columbia
something more
University.
research. Tier 3 makes better sense for a research
Yeah.
oriented role and function.
I don't think you can jump to that conclusion. I'm just saying, point is, uh, there may still be people in tier 3 who can be good in here. I'm not saying no, but I'm just giving that what ISRO has done in terms of highlighting, identifying people with academic brilliance and put them in in-depth areas, research, and given them lots of things. So they've really blossomed there. But yes, there will be people in tier 3 who may have the other thing. They may have this business acumen also. So it's just that there are different types of people. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, well, just reflecting back in one of my previous ventures where I was building a product, finally I was left with a small team organically. And all of them who stayed back with me, I actually managed that whole product and tried to run with that almost without paying salaries, but they had faith. So I literally had to pay them back over a period of time, much after helping them get other jobs. But all these people were highly qualified and were come from small towns. So, but they were sticking it out with me. In fact, they were motivating me, Nanju. Uh, this works. We should stay put. We should go with that. Is there a correlation? I'm just thinking now with this question that perhaps that is another thing that they seem to have larger faith in their own abilities and what do you call longer drive to stay on, stick it out, despite those difficulties. I mean, even if I'm not able to pay them full salaries and month after month, with the hope, and we used to have these VCs calling. I used to put it on speaker so that they also get motivated, where they would say, "You are doing something great, stay on." And that used to motivate them. Sometimes I used to cut the call and say, "This bugger is just dragging on without putting money. He's just giving me motivation." These guys used to say that, no, Nanju, karte hai." So, is there a thing you think that uh, this is part of that demography thing more than the skill? Because this is not the skill talk, right? This is
There's
something
an
else.
attitude. Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, you can't I don't think you can generalize yet, Manju, that, that this
Okay.
is what it. But yes, maybe there are people who've really come up the hard way, are more resilient. They are trying to, they have that resilience to fight and make things happen. But yes, but you would also find equally some people, from premier institutes who have the same resilience, etc., who also come up and who believe in things. So you would probably find that in both places, I think.
Right. Okay. I mean, I know that thought came over as you were saying, but is there
Yeah.
something? Okay. Interesting. Uh, well, can we get to you making some predictions?
What kind of predictions?
Uh, well, you actually did, so to speak, that almost 40% of the jobs in the
No, I'm saying
industry
across
would
organizations,
be,
between
but
20 to 40, yeah, different
yeah,
organization, different in the industries and department, anything between 20 to 40% over a decade. Nothing is going to happen now. I'm just saying,
right, right,
decade we'll have to will be we'll have to rethink them. Yeah.
right. So, on those lines, if you want to make something, I mean, not necessarily something people should fear or uh, aspire to, but these are the things
No,
people
I
can
think
start
I think
working
what
towards.
I see is there'll be lots of opportunities with AI and things coming, also with Web3 and various other things, blockchain type technologies. I think the you will probably have, in my view, the the age of large organizations may be limited because there'll be lots more people coming. So therefore, unless organizations have something very unique, there'll be lots of options for people. And I think given this, technology may disrupt that, and you probably not going to have mega large organizations. You'll have lots more smaller ones which are doing much better, is what I think will happen. Therefore, I think the education industry will be completely changed. Yeah, because AI can teach a lot. AI can teach a lot. AI can do and all of that. So therefore, how education, I think that's one area where I think will be completely reimagined in the next 10 to 15 years. And I'm just not, I mean, this whole thing about somebody going to a Harvard or to IIT and now you learn all of this, and if you can get somebody to train them, in through AI and this and learn, and but the key thing is learning is not just listening, but you also have to work on it and work in a team and learn from each other. If you can create that environment, then I think people can do lots more. So I think education to me is going to be an area where we're going to see a lots more disruption. Lots more big names will be questioned whether you really need that. Lots more smaller, more agile, more skill-based organization or learning things may come up, which may use a lots of technology, etc., to learn people. Which and therefore you probably will have much more sharper domain focused learning kind of a thing. So I think learning is going to be one area where I see tremendous disruption coming in the near future.
Well, basically, you said two things. One is the way the corporations look. Incidentally, Mr. R. Gopalkrishnan also said that, in fact, he made a statement that the large corporate house is dead. The symbolic building concept is dead. No, as in symbolically, that no more effort of that kind of things will be done. So I don't know if I can relate. What you're saying is also that this is going to be a thing of the past. And you already made a statement that lifespan of organization is going to be significantly shorter than the lifespan of careers, uh, uh, which is very interesting. I mean, if your career was 40 years, probably you would work with 2, 3 organizations in the span where those organizations may not exist. Is that right? Is that fair to say what
Could be,
you're
yeah.
saying?
Organizations may, yeah. A lot of newer organizations will come up. So therefore, the average lifespan of organizations is coming down, and some of the older organizations may just cease to exist.
Right. Very interesting thoughts. Thank you, Shankar. I think this is great. So, do you want to leave? Uh, thought behind for our audience and listeners in terms of how you think what could be the pointers they should look at for the change that is happening so far to keep themselves relevant?
So, Danju, you've heard of this famous hype cycle, right? So there's
Yeah.
the hype cycle where there's all people talk about this is going to happen, AI, this, that. So I think we are now in that hype cycle. Things are not going to happen that fast. I think people are going to take time. There's so much to be done with AI, the people's comfort, the ethics, ensuring that the right data quality, everything is there, which is going to take you 3 to 5 years. But once you've taken those 3 to 5 years, I think you're going to see that permeate across these organizations in a big way. So I think nothing is going to happen now, I would say, in 5 years, 5, 10 years. So I think you're going to see these changes coming. Yeah. And therefore, we, what I would say is that, you know, uh, this is also give us many newer jobs, many newer ways to kind of add value, many newer ways to build things. So there will be a lots more opportunity. And with AI removing this, you're going to also see, I would see a lot of market for products which are in the entertainment space, sports, entertainment. All of this will also grow because you now will have lots more people who these will all be what there'll be what I call as cognitive surplus. A lot of people who have a little more time because AI is doing most of the work, and therefore there'll be more time for many of these things for people to do. So therefore, I see a big growth in industries for people, their own fitness, sports, entertainment. All of these will also probably grow through technology. So I'm just saying that AI, while it comes in, it's not just going to cut some jobs, but it's going to open up many more things. It's going to kind of rethink many of these things. Education will be reimagined. I see a lots more in the sports, fitness, and entertainment in terms of the way it is going to grow. Individuals doing lots more activities in sports and various other things. So you'll see those kind of changes also. So I think the next 10 to 15 years, you're going to see, and I just say people are going to live longer. So they'll have to find more ways to really keep active and do a lot more. So, but the key to all of this is for us to keep learning. Yeah, I think when I was looking at in my own mind, saying what is it that's going to be important in the future, and I think there are what I call as a triangle of three, which are going to be very important. Yeah, first one is certain key cognitive skills. Yeah, and it's not about analytics and all of that because AI is going to give you, but what you need is ability to see patterns, ability to connect across things. So you need people who are much more broader minded, much more broader read, or able to really connect things across domains. Yeah, so that's going to be the cognitive skill that is needed is more seeing patterns and connecting across dots. Yeah, that's there. The thing that's going to be also very important is what I call as SOB skills or social behavioral skills. This is and here it is all about how do you engage and how do you understand emotions of people, how do you really have mastery over emotions of people, because you have to be good at that. How do you negotiate with people, how do you influence them and lead them? So that's going to be very important for people there, and you've got to be really good at it because that's going to be the thing. And the last one is how do you keep learning? Your learning, a knack for learning, your intuition and knack for learning. I think we all have to focus on these three a lot more as we go into the future, I think.
Wonderful. I think uh, I was just visualizing some drawings for that as you spoke. So I think it's great, and I really wish if you could put something together on that because I think it's a great takeaway. It would be really helpful. Maybe you could just publish it on your LinkedIn per se, and all the links are there, so our audience and listeners can also follow and look it up. And thank you so much for making time to do this. I definitely look forward to perhaps doing a series of sessions where we could probably take each function, what's going to happen to that, general future gaze. Maybe I think it's going to be useful. And I seriously and very sincerely believe that this is not to either fearmonger create fear mongering among people, or not to even say that we see the future that you don't see. See, it's not about being right or wrong either. It's see, it's about whatever you said. How right or how wrong is not the question. Who's on the right side of what you're saying and who's on the wrong side of what you're saying, and what, most importantly, what does it mean for them, right? How well they can prepare for themselves with what you're saying is likely to happen or not likely to happen, because that's the whole idea of bringing it. So thank you so much for sharing in, and really appreciate what you're doing, and also look forward to the book that you had mentioned earlier, and all the very best. Thank you so much. And lastly, to the audience and listeners, I'm sure you enjoyed it as much as I did, and perhaps you also wish that it doesn't get over so soon. We'll hopefully get Shankar back and get on to those things what we talked about. But do share this across, and if you're not yet subscribed to Future Fast, do it right now. Shankar, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nanju. Pleasure being there. I don't know. These are all thoughts. I'm not sure how right they are, but yes, I think over time I'll also sharpen them and share them. Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you again.